and welcome to MBA Rewired, the podcast where we are in conversation with industry experts to talk about how certain career paths are evolving and how B schools need to revamp their curriculum to keep up with these evolving career paths. Today, we are talking about a career path that is very sought after but can also be very misunderstood, the career of a product manager. And to take us behind the scenes of what a career in product management looks like and to understand it better, we are joined by Dr. Shyamal Datta, who is head of product at the Indian Express and also an alum of IMI. So, welcome back to the campus and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Farna. Same here.
So, before we begin to understand what product management is all about, I would like to learn a little bit about your career, as in how did you choose product management? What drew you to become a product manager?
Okay, to answer you, it was not a obvious choice for me, and it happened by chance than by choice. Because just to give you my little background, I did engineering in computer science, worked in IT for 3 years, and then came to IMI for doing my uh, MBA in 2007. In 2009, when I was kind of completing my MBA, that time there was a recession happening. There was a subprime crisis that happened in the US, and subsequently, the impact of that was observed globally. So, I planned to become a business analyst. That is the main reason for coming to do a MBA. But in my batch, unfortunately, not a single company came to hire business analysts. So, and the only option that I got when the course was ending was kind of a APM, that is Associate Product Manager profile from a company or another startup called iMarketing Advantage. And I joined that company, worked there for a couple of years, and then I realized that probably this is the thing that suits me because that's a kind of intersection between technology and marketing. So that's how it started.
So it's interesting that you say yours was by fluke, but now we see that a lot of MBA graduates are actually looking to get into product management, right? It's a career choice that they're making.
Yeah.
So what is it do you think that makes it such a popular career choice now?
So yeah, you were right because although I had product management as a curriculum back in 2007-8 at IMI, and not many colleges had product management as a course at that time, but now it's becoming very ubiquitous. It's almost in every company has a product managers. So there is a lot of misconceptions about product managers because people think that it's a very sexy job and you have to just instruct others and do the research work and very glamorous work. But actually, it's not like that. There's a lot of midnight oil burning that we have to do. And main thing is basically whether people understand that it's not about people management. Product comprises of lot of departments, lot of actionables from different departments. And unless we can unite them all and create a synergy, no meaningful product will be built. And product management is not about only building features, especially when you are coming to AI and all, because a lot of monotonous or boring jobs are getting automated. So the main thing that remains is how probably what problems you are solving for your users, and are you solving those problems profitably? Because initially, when I started my product journey in 2009, so our goal is to be only create features, correct? And whether there's financially viable or not, that was a secondary thought. But right now, when people, I mean, we are moving towards a very difficult industry scenario this year because of different geopolitical and economical uh, reasons. I think companies are increasingly focusing on the outcome-based product management. What kind of value you're creating for the users, and what kind of value you're creating for the company as well.
So, of course, a lot of students want to get into product management, but there's still a lot of confusion about what it really entails. So, what does a typical day really look like in the, product manager's day?
That's a great question because a typical day means that I'm not doing things that are planned for today. Because what happens that by the time you reach office, or even our work starts much before you reach office, because I'm in a media company, and there uh, news can happen anytime. If
Right.
there is a big news coming or there is anything to be planned urgently, then that takes precedence. On other days, which are relatively normal, we try to do the number crunching in the first thing in the morning, look at the subscription number funnel, that whether conversions are getting done properly, whether my page views are on track, whether users are coming on, are there any major issues that is customers are pointing out to. Then we move on to the meetings, because normally we have to enable decision making. And when I say decision making enablement, that means that product team doesn't make the decisions on themselves, but they facilitate decision making. And that means taking sign off from senior management, getting other departments along, because if you have to take a sustainable decision, that has to be vetted by all the stakeholders. And that is the primary job of product managers, that how do you create a product which solves customer problems, and we can offer that solution in a long term basis, and that also makes money. So over the time, what's happening, that product roles are moving increasingly from feature based to value based. That what kind of value you are creating for the customers and the business, that I've also mentioned in the previous question also. And in a way, we try to optimize the effort or productivity that we're doing, because we try to automate the different tasks using AI or other automation tools. And still the decision making or the human decision making largely lies with the product team.
Right.
Yeah. And apart from other confusions that is there, that people think that you have to just come and order others to do things. You don't have to do the execution tasks. That is a totally misconception. We have to probably have to do more research and more uh, hard execution work than anyone else in the team, because see, our role is to ensure that the execution pipeline remains intact.
Right.
And if there is any leak anywhere, we have to be the first one to plug into that leak.
Right.
So yeah.
So, once, of course, a student may understand what product management is all about and they want to get into it, right? So, what would you say are some skills, essential skills that a student must pick up during their 2 years as an MBA student?
I think this is a very important question, because a lot of people move into product. I know tens of people who have moved into product. They really desired it, and after a couple of years, they are thinking that okay, probably I'm not suited for this role.
Right.
Because what happens that unlike what seems from outside, product manager is a background role. We are not likely to get limelight in any of the uh, successful release or launch. Just tell me one thing: how many product managers do you know of the companies that you really like?
True.
Probably very few, or most probably none.
Right.
Right? This is not a job where you'll be have the limelight and always be people will be talking about you. It's not that kind of profile. It's a very much background job. So in my industry, I'm from news industry currently. I'm working with media industry for last 10, 11 years. So journalists or editors, they take the limelight, because people come to the website or purchase the newspaper to understand their point of view. They don't come to the website to get the features that you have launched. That is so. I jokingly say that in every industry there is a Shah Rukh Khan, right? And in our industry, that is journalists and editors, and we are the cameramen, lightmen, and other makeup men of that industry. So that is the true. There is only one hero in every industry. So probably that is not exactly true in a product management driven company, where there is a building a product or building a service or SaaS tool. There the lot of focus is on tech roles or product roles. But in my kind of role, there is a supporting role. So that is the difference. And a lot of people do not like that we are being a supporting role, right? So that is one misconception also about product management roles.
Right. So then how does the student, like, is there anything that they can do or learn during their MBA to combat that? Or do you think they need to be taught that?
See, without going into product management, I think our career is an iteration. I'm sure with you also, you started with something, get the hang of it, and you may like or not like it. So it's not something that if you are in the industry, you have to retire in the industry. It's not like that. And that is true for your profile, that is true for your industry. So it's more of a relationship, you know. I mean, just because you've started a relationship doesn't mean you have to end it or you have to die with it. So there is always a scope of improvement. And if you're not feeling that you're contributing or you're adding value to the industry, is no harm in exploring the new another opportunity in different role or in different industry altogether.
Right. So, as a product manager, of course, you must have interviewed a lot of people, right? And I'm sure a lot of students who've just graduated and want to get into this role. So, in your experience, what do you think makes, what kind of student makes it through the interview, and what kind of student sort of maybe does not?
So what I look at uh, is basically uh, how curious they are, and is there any structured logical thinking that they can come up into. Because see, what happens that we live in our education system is, I mean, that is, to be fair to it, it's very deterministic, that you know what's happening, right? I mean, when there is a question that is being asked in exam, you already know the right answer for that, because that's basically looking at hindsight. In case study and all, you know what happened. You're improvising on that. But in real life, in any organization, it's not like that. When you are taking a decision, you don't know whether this is the right decision or not, because a lot of things can change. Your economical, your social, your political, your environmental things can change. One mandate from the government, and your entire process or entire product may just vanish, right? So those are the inherent risks in whatever you do. So that way, I think, um, to create a solution in a very unstructured, from a very unstructured condition, is something we try to look into. And then also for a product role, how, I'll not say how extrovert you are, but how well you communicate with others effectively. That's very important, because there is a synergy that we are trying to create here. We need to talk to management, we need to talk to sales team, technical team, design team, editorials, or your functional team, and even other teams as well, customer support. So unless you can communicate who are trying to communicate effectively, it's very difficult to create a product.
Right. So, being curious, being able to logically solve problems,
Yeah.
and effective communication, you'd say, are very important.
Yes.
Right. So, of course, nowadays we have AI that has sort of seeped into everything.
Yeah.
And that is changing the landscape of a lot of career paths, right? And I'm sure that the same thing is happening with product management as
Yeah.
well. So, in your experience, how do you think in the last 4 to 5 years, product management might have changed because of, the advent of AI?
Yeah, that's a really pertinent question, and that's scary one also, because what you're saying in the industry, and in that is every industry. I like to draw a parallel with what digital was probably 15 years back, because a lot of people would say that, I don't want to do marketing, I want to do digital marketing, right? I don't do product management, I do digital product management. Now, what happens that marketing is an area and digital is a channel probably. Similarly, AI is a technology that will ultimately impact every industry or every media or every sector for that matter. So what I understand is that with the advent of AI, lot of low value tasks are now being passed on to this. Earlier, there's a structure in the team that you have product operation manager who used to do low value tasks like coordination, communication, and probably status update, all those things. Now, increasingly, those tasks are getting uh, kind of delegated to AI. And product managers, they are taking the high value decisions, which are customer centric or revenue centric. So, in a way, what we are seeing, that team size is getting optimized in every industry, even in my industry also. The product teams and tech teams are shrinking, because when efficiency comes, and unless you're in the growth centric industry where there's a lot of upside for having a larger team, the companies are now trimming their teams. And when someone is leaving the organization, we are not replacing, or we are not getting any replacement for that role, because suppose we have to do 10 tasks in a day now, and we need, say, X number of product managers. Probably now, even X minus 2 number of product managers, we can do the same kind of efficiency or productivity. That's happening. And for MBA graduates, I would say one thing, that this crisis is bigger at a lower level, because at a mid level, people are still taking human decisions, or revenue centric decisions. So their job is immediately not at stake, or eventually it will be. But immediately what's happening, the fresher hiring has decreased in many organizations. So that's the impact for the MBA students.
Yeah. So, in a scenario like this, then how should students prepare themselves? Like, of course, because they would want to get into this
Yeah.
career path, right? If somebody's chosen it. So, how can they sort of prepare themselves for maybe a different kind of role in product management itself? How would they do that?
No, I'm seeing, still companies are hiring product managers because so there are new companies that are hiring product managers, that is for sure. But I think the best way to prepare is that in addition to the theoretical reading that we do or the case study that we kind of read in our MBA curriculum, maybe it's better to also create a real product, because and the real product that actually solves the customer problem. You take any industry, any problem that you can think of, and try to build something around it, rather than just gathering theoretical knowledge or just doing X number of certifications. It's, I mean, building a product which solves a customer problem will give you 10x learning. And industry like those job ready students or potential employees who can come and add value immediately. So because see, basically in product management what is happening, that earlier you are more focused towards input, that is how do you prioritize different tasks. When I started my career, probably after 5-6 years we moved into output based strategy, where how many features you have released, what are the quality of those release, that is main important thing. Now we are moving to one level up, what is outcome based, that the features you have released, are they solving any user problem, are they helping the business to generate more revenue or reduce cost. So eventually in any role, be it sales, marketing, product, technology, whatever, ultimately you are doing two things. You are making more money for the company or you're reducing cost for the company. If you're doing both of these together, fantastic. But if you're not doing any of those, then your job will be at stake at some point of time.
So, you have a very unique position right now, right? You're an industry practitioner, but you also do guest lectures. You're also in touch with a lot of students. So, in this regard, how do you think now B schools should sort of maybe revamp their curriculum or make changes in their curriculum to prepare students for a career path like this?
So continuing from my previous answer, that probably um, if everyone is encouraged to do a for any, I'm not saying for only for product, for any which role you are doing, be it finance or marketing or any role, maybe how do you create more job ready students? Can you do a live project in different companies, right? Which give them a sense of how work is done in reality. Because only from theoretical point of view, lot of your conceptions will be removed when you enter the industry. And that happens with everyone,
Right.
right? So a lot of people think that they can be a superstar at work, but no company can probably, I mean, no person can create a product or any experience on their own. They have to take help from others, different departments, even their team members. So that kind of skill set building, how do you work with create a synergy, becomes very important.
Right. So, so then B schools obviously have to, of course, revamp their curriculum, make it, give them more live projects, give them more opportunities to work either in groups, teams, or of course in environments where they can work with in different companies,
Yeah.
right? So, given all of that, what would you say are some non-negotiable skills that students should pick up in these 2 years of their MBA journey that will help them build a long-lasting career in product management?
So I would say definitely people skill, because as you grow in the industry, and since after doing MBA, one is not actually expected to solve a technical problem. They are expected to solve a people problem, because every technical problem ultimately points out to some people problem. So to understand how people work, their dynamics. So that's why when I was doing MBA, subjects like OB and all HR seems very boring, especially for freshers.
Right.
But once you join in workforce or any company, then you will only remember those uh, lessons, because see, marketing, finance, I don't know how many of them actually using those skill sets. But this group dynamics, how to talk to your seniors, peers, juniors, management, I mean, you have to learn those skill sets. So that's one thing, that how um, good your with your communication, and how effectively you can put your point.
Right.
Second is that I would think a positive attitude. A lot of people, I would say, whoever has tried to change a process, something, either they have adopted a brute force method that अब तो सब कुछ change करके छोड़ूंगा, or they have given a very that आप कुछ बदल नहीं सकता. So there's a way between these two extremes, right? How do you create a problem solving kind of attitude? And even in my team, I'll encourage that if you're coming with a problem, please also offer some solutions,
Right.
because everyone knows a problem, right? But what kind of solutions, that is what we are getting paid. And probably third number, I would say that so someone who is curious about the environment, that what's happening in the tech space, what's happening in the product space, and so, product management role also offers you to uh, probably culminate your arts, science, and uh, commerce skills. Because in product management, there is a famous triangle: UX, technology, and users.
Right.
Correct? Sorry, UX, technology, and business. So that UX part is basically art, technology part is basically science, and business part is mainly commerce. So there is a role where you also need to have humanitarian skill, commerce skill to excel. A lot of people think that only reading AI and probably product management I can excel in my career, but that's again I think a misconception. The more well read you are across different departments and different topics, it will help you to take more probably wholesome decisions.
So, Shyamal, there's this really interesting thing about you as well. You did your MBA and then you're working as a product manager, but you chose to do your PhD in sustainability. So, how did that come about?
I was expecting this question, because when I started my FPM or PhD journey in 2018, end of 18 or rather 19, so a lot of people told me that you should do in digital marketing or digital product management, because at that time I was already doing product management for almost more than 10 years.
Right.
But what I thought that let's add some new skill set where I can in future I can get more benefit out of it. See, I'll give an example. I did BTech in computer science and marketing in MBA. Now, when I did product management, these two intersections really helped me a lot. So I think product managers also, or any role where multiple departments are involved, it's good to have a T skill, that you are master in one stream, but you have many associated different knowledge of different other streams. So in PhD also, I chose sustainability because my long-term goal is to move to digital sustainability. So, and just to give an example, in product management, right, when I'm creating a new solution that can monetize better, I also need to look about the risk of that solution. And what ESG or environment social governance, that is core part of sustainability, offers is that is my data being stored with enough privacy? Is there any encryption method to save my user data? And is my software or products that I'm building, are they environmental friendly? Right? So those decisions when I take into this thing, is my product accessible friendly? Can disabled people use my product? So all the decisions when I create a product around that with a layer of sustainability or ESG into it, it becomes a better product. And professionally also, it's helping me, because right now I'm leading the accessibility integration in my company. I'm also leading the data privacy or DPDP integration in my company. So it has come from the point of view that if you get a better product that is good for the environment, good for the people, and good for the business, it's more of a sustainable product, which is the ultimate goal of product management. So I don't see these two are as divergent thing. I see them uh, very much part of each other. And when you combine product management with sustainability, it just results into better product management.
So, I think, like you said, one of the ways to look at building a longer lasting career is to obviously be able to understand different people, communicate effectively, and also um, read a lot and sort of be open to newer ideas and have a positive attitude.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So this has been a really interesting conversation. I think we've learned a lot about product management. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.